Hey, everybody. Welcome to Texas Three Step. This is episode 6, and we got a great show ahead of us. Tyler, what's going on?
Yeah, we got a great show today, and we got 2 guests today for the first time. This is going to be awesome. For the first part of today's show, we're going to be talking MLB with the Rangers beat writer, Chris Halleck. And then we're going to follow that up with Q stories with Q's longtime friend, Graham. So that's going to be great. Next, we're going to be talking college football. We're going to open up with our college football WAP pick'ems. We'll explain what that means. We'll be talking some NFL after that. And then we'll be closing things out with some NBA playoff talk. And we'll be explaining what's going on down there in Orlando. It's going to be another great show, guys. Get ready.
All right, guys, let's start off with baseball today. We got Texas Rangers beat writer here, Chris Halleck. Thank you for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, really looking forward to this, man. You're awesome. We really do appreciate you hopping on here, and we follow your work quite a bit. We really just want your opinions on some of the stuff going on with the Rangers. Really, it's been crazy with the deadline, and the game tonight was pretty wild, going into extras and them scoring off of a balk and crazy bunt error.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy game tonight for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty wonky, and man, IKF is just, that glove is just otherworldly, and I don't know, man. What do you see from like the future of everything now with what happened with the trades and them not really trading Lynn or Gallo? Do you see them getting locked up? What do you see happening with that?
Well, it's a little early to know what the future holds with either one of them. In terms of either one being dealt, I'm a little surprised Lynn wasn't dealt. Not that shocked that Gallo wasn't, just because I had a feeling that they were going to ask for the Sun, Moon, and Stars for Gallo, and right. There's no reason why they shouldn't. But I definitely saw them asking for what clubs didn't want to give, and that turned out to be the case. But with Lynn, I was a little surprised, but it didn't like rock my world or anything that it didn't happen. Lynn told everybody in the media on, right after his last start that he wanted to stay. Now that didn't mean that well, the Rangers aren't going to move him now. They were still, John Daniels said they were still very open, but they were going to ask for a lot, and they right. did. And clubs apparently didn't want to part with what the Rangers were asking for. Daniels said they budged a little bit on their original asking price, and just it never got to the point where Daniels was comfortable making a deal. So I think with Lynn's willingness to want to stay, mixed with the fact that they didn't get the offer that they really wanted to pull the trigger there, I think that's why right. Lynn's still in a Rangers uniform. It doesn't surprise me that Miner's gone or that Frazier or Chirinos is gone. Right. The only thing that was surprising about Chirinos and Frazier is that they happened, right at the last second. We were all being told. I wasn't the only beat writer who was being told by
I saw
by my sources that they were done, and then Ken Rosenthal comes in with 2 Kenny bombs, and Chirinos been traded to the Mets, and then Frazier's been traded to the Mets, and I'm texting everybody who I can to figure out what the heck's going on, and that's what ended up happening. So
it was pretty wild about that. They were 2 separate trades too, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, 2 separate trades. I can't remember right now. There's I'm decompressing from the Rangers Astros game, but one trade. They're both player to be named later trades, which don't necessarily have the same indication that they normally do in regular seasons. But one of them right. is your traditional player to be named later trade, but they know who they're getting, or I think. They know who they're getting in one of the trades. I don't remember which one. And then the other one, they have a list to choose from, like a list of 3 names, I think, to choose from. So, but they know who they're getting in one of them. They can't announce anything because you can't trade players that aren't in the 60-man pool right now, which is why you're seeing a lot of players to be named later trades right now.
That makes sense.
I'm surprised they haven't announced it, because they were able to announce the 2 guys from the A's.
Well, actually, those 2 trades have not been announced. That's just, I think Levi Weaver from The Athletic was the first one to report those names. And then Everybody, I mean, everybody did their journalistic work and found out, yeah, that's who they're getting, but it's not been officially announced. It's actually been officially announced as of right now. It's officially announced as 2 players to be named later is the official trade right now, just so that Mike Minor can go to Oakland, and then the trade will be completed after the season's over, and then those trades can be completed because then 60-man pools don't exist anymore because the 2020 season will be over, and then they can complete those trades because they know who they're getting. So it's not like one of those things where it is like, okay, we have a list to choose from and we have to go through that whole process. No, they know who they're getting. So it probably won't be too long once the World Series is completed that trade will become completed.
Now, Dustin Harris is probably the better get out of that whole Mike Minor deal, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's no, it was Marcus Smith, actually, I think.
Oh, Marcus Smith.
Yeah, I think. I'm trying to remember. Like I've got Rangers and Astros on the brain right now.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
But
no worries.
The outfielder was the one. I think he's 22, number 22 on MLB Pipeline, number 21 on Baseball America. Okay. In terms of where he was in the A's organization, and I read Melissa Lockard's. Anybody who has a subscription to The Athletic, I recommend to read that. She knows the A's organization really well, and the Rangers could be getting something there, and obviously they're not getting. You're not getting what you were going to get from Minor last year. Yeah, Marcus Smith is the guy who I'm talking about now that I got it pulled up. But yeah, Marcus Smith, I mean, they got 2 decent prospects. Keith Law really liked them, and whenever he ranked the A's organization, so these are 2 guys that could end up being something. I think at the end of the day, it adds more depth to the Rangers organization, and I could go on a tangent about the Rangers organization, but the one thing that they do have is depth, and they just added more depth. The biggest thing the Rangers organization lacks right now in the farm system is like impact talent. They don't have a Fernando Tatis Jr. down there. They don't have that like 5-star prospect that's about to, burst onto the scene in 1 or 2 years. That's like, they don't have that like top tier talent near the top, but they have a lot of depth. They have a lot of 50s and 45s in there. So I think that's the biggest strength of the Rangers organization, but it's also the biggest weakness, depending on which way you want to look at it.
Right, and that really puts them in the wonky position they're at right now, with this stuck in between, not really competing and not really being the worst team, and so really puts you in a bad spot to try to become that team with a lot of impact talent.
Yeah, I mean, I get fans, wanting to know, okay, what's the direction of the organization? Like, I get that, and I'm trying to figure out that answer for myself. And that's definitely something that going into the offseason, I'm going to be exploring as much as I possibly can, because number one, fans are interested in it, and I try to write things that fans are interested in. But at the same time, we do need to figure this out. Like, okay, where are the Rangers going? Are they trying to compete? Because if they are pretty far away, unless a lot of their younger players just things click for them really, really quickly. Leody Taveras figures it out at the plate. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa becomes a more consistent hitter. Nick Solak also continues, his trajectory of becoming a pretty good major league hitter. And, Ronald Guzman figures out the plate. But these are a lot of things that have to happen, and it's not that often. What happened with the Houston Astros, before they cheated. But just getting not because I feel like I have to preface that every time I talk about the Astros, but they had a lot of prospects that all hit at one time. That kind of stuff doesn't happen that often, and now you're asking for the Rangers young players to do that, and they're not near the talent, or they're not anywhere near the talents that Carlos Correa and Alex Bregman and George Springer and all those guys are, Solak and Taveras and Guzman and, a couple of those other guys, they're nice players, but I mean, are any of them going to become a all-star or a superstar? And I don't know.
Right.
But at the same time, they're not selling the pieces like Lance that they could get good returns for, and just doing a complete, tear it down and let's rebuild it. So yeah, I get where fans are upset, but at the same time, if John Daniels makes a trade, I don't know the exact names that were offered, but let's just say that he did pull the trigger on a trade, and you didn't get back the haul, or the Rangers didn't get back the haul that fans wanted or fans expected.
Oh, they would have been just as bad.
It's one of those things where it doesn't matter what JD did there, he's in the wrong. And that's just one of those things where I'm like, as soon as I get people replying to me on Twitter that JD needs to be fired and everything, I'm just like, I'm usually pretty interactive on Twitter, but I'm not going to respond to that.
Yeah, that's not us. We're pretty big JD fans here. Yeah, so yeah, we're definitely not people who call for his head. I mean, it's he's done well with what he's had to work with, and I mean, he's the only reason Rangers ever been competitive in the first place.
Mm-hmm. And
so
it's fair. It's fair to be critical as well. He's had some stinkers when it comes to either signings or trades, but every GM has. There's no GM that exists out there that has been absolutely perfect and that hasn't, crapped the bed on one or two deals. He's also been really unlucky with a lot of his trades.
Yeah. Prince Fielder.
Obviously, the big one is Prince Fielder, but the Jonathan Lucroy deal, that one backfired on him pretty bad because, he makes the trade and all of a sudden the Rangers have exactly what they wanted. They had one of the best catchers in the game at the time, and he just was not the same player when they got him.
No, not at all. That team looked like a superstar team. That team looked unbeatable going into the playoffs, and they just got spanked. And
it didn't look like a team that was good. It didn't look like a team that was going to get swept in the first round.
Exactly.
And so those trades backfire, and it happens. It happens. But overall, I think we are at the time where I think just because of where the Rangers are right now, it is in a moment where, okay, if they are, and it might be because ownership doesn't want to move on from JD yet, because I think if ownership decides they want to do a full-blown rebuild, I think that also means it's time for a new GM. Unless you just believe that JD is the guy to tear it all down and bring it. The Pirates just did that. But whenever they decided that they were going to rebuild, they brought in a brand new GM. They made a lot of changes at the top. That's what a lot of teams do whenever they make a big when they want to tear it down and build it back up from scratch. So that's a big decision to make. And if the Rangers are going to do that now, then the fans better get used to losing for the next several years.
Yeah,
but go ahead. I'm sorry.
JD hasn't really had a chance to rebuild with the team. I don't think the last few years they've been kind of like that middle ground. But aside from I think it was 2014 when everyone got hurt, he hasn't really had a chance to get some good number one first round picks like in the top 10 like the Astros did when they got Correa and all those guys and stockpiled players from being really bad.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, this is not just critical of JD. This is just critical of player development or whatever else. But the Rangers, especially on the pitching side, have not been great at developing their own talent.
That's absolute problem right there.
Joey Gallo has. I mean, he's one of the few that have come up from the system. Was drafted, came up through the system, and has become a very good major league player. Now, obviously, we're not seeing that right now. He's going through probably one of the biggest struggles we've ever seen in his major league career. Which I'm just going to go and say that whatever happens in 2020, because there's fans who are just dogging players, not just Rangers fans, but fans of all teams who are just dogging players on for what they're doing. Dude, I mean, I don't keep up with every single team, but so when the Dodgers came to town and I'm going through the lineups and I'm seeing Cody Bellinger's hitting 220, I'm like, okay, this is one of the best players in baseball. Now he's hitting home runs, but you can say the same thing about Joey Gallo. He's just hitting 40 points lower. So I mean,
the average across Major League is low as possible. It's like one of the lowest we've seen in years.
Yeah, it's a weird year.
It's not just Joey.
Yeah, it's a weird year. It's a weird year. So I'm not going to say that whatever happens in 2020. Oh well, Gallo's 2019 season was a fluke. No, I think what we're seeing is we're seeing a guy, and we're seeing a lot of players that they are feeling really, really pressured to. Scott Heineman admitted it tonight in the post-game Zoom calls with the media. These guys are under a lot of pressure, and they're putting a lot of pressure on themselves to perform every single time they step up to the plate like it's a playoff game. Now, they didn't say like it's a playoff game, but that's usually what it is when the urgency goes way up. And baseball is not one of those sports where you can just do that every single time you step into the batter's box or every time you step on the mound. You got to act like, okay, well, I have to get a hit here, or I have to do this. That's the kind of pressure that these guys are putting on themselves. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy to watch right now. But I mean, I don't know. I think we just need to take it a little easy on everybody. Do we want the Rangers to win? Absolutely. The Rangers win. That's longer that I get to write about them. That's longer that I get to. It's good for me if the Rangers win. It's good for fans if the Rangers win. We all want the Rangers to win, but we also have to understand that this is a very, very interesting and strange and awkward season. So we just kind of have to take it and roll with it.
Yeah, I think there's some good in this, though. I think that you're able, even though you're not really competing anymore, but you got a chance to get some of these young guys out there, like Leote, like Eli White, who had his major league debut tonight, right? Mm-hmm. And get some to see what you really have, and really just get them some major league action, even if it's not really actually seeing what you have, because this is a weird season, as we've already stated, Yeah. But yeah, I think it's huge. I don't think we're going to see guys like Josh Jung though, or maybe Apostle though.
Apostle has a much better chance of being brought up than Young. Young or Huff. I keep saying Huff's name put out there too. Those two guys, and it's not necessarily because they haven't played above, single A ball, whether it be high or low A. It's just of where they are in their development. I just don't see them. I don't see the Rangers wanting to start their service time clock already. Apostle was he's a little closer in terms of being major league ready, but he's also not the same prospect that Young or Huff are. So I think you could see Apostle before the year's over. Chris Woodward did say today before the game that, he did say that nobody is off limits in the 60-man pool. So I can't say that there's a 0% chance that Young or Huff get into the major leagues this year. I think they're going to be one of the very last ones if the Rangers decide to do that. And it might be like the last week of the season, and that way they don't accrue too much service time and they get something. But the announcement today that I saw from Baseball America that there is going to be some instructional games, that's big for the minor league.
I was just about to ask you about that.
I got some contacting to do. I got some people I got to talk to just so I can try to see if I can get any more information on that. But I trust Baseball America. So if that is true, and there is definitely going to be instructional league stuff and actual games, that's big. I know that stuff usually goes on, but when it's following a year where there was no minor league season at all, anything that these guys can get, it's going to help.
Get these players some money, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Get these players money, get these players development, get these players anything that they could possibly get. Because a lot of prospects have missed out on paychecks, lost out on money, and they've lost out on some very critical development this year as well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. That's amazing. I got a couple more questions, maybe one more on the Rangers here, and then a couple more on just regular overall baseball stuff, if you don't mind.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. So Rougned Odor. How much longer do you think he really has as a Ranger?
It's really difficult to say. I think the Rangers are getting near the end of the rope with him. And I know that this narrative has come up. It came up last year. It came up a little bit the year before that, but 2018 was not that bad of a year for Odor. I mean, if you go back and look at the numbers, they weren't that far down. They were a lot closer to his 15 and 16 seasons. And then also added the fact that he was a finalist for the Gold Glove at second base. Now, that has been the outlier more than anything, has been his defense in every other season other than 2018 has been either average or below average. And then 2018, he's all of a sudden a finalist for a Gold Glove, and you look at his defensive metrics, you're like, okay, yeah, he was actually a pretty good defender that year. But I think overall, okay, he'll be 4 years into a 6-year contract. He has not performed to the level. His salary actually goes up for the next 2 seasons. I think it's going to be $12.3 million next year, and I think $12.3 million again the year after. So, and then they have, I think, a $13 million club option, which at this point the Rangers can just say good riddance and say no, no, thank you. But for the next 2 years, the report by Evan Grant on the Dallas Morning News is really interesting to me. The Rangers and Red Sox discussing a potential money swap with Nathan Eovaldi. And those might be 2 contracts that both clubs are willing to move on from. That makes sense. They didn't get a deal done before the deadline. That doesn't mean they can't revisit it in the offseason. Now, the Rangers would have to be taking on more money because Eovaldi is supposed to make $17 million over the next 2 seasons, each year. So the Rangers, they might get rid of Odor, but then they're going to be taking on a pitcher who's owed $34 million over the next 2 seasons. So
he's one of those classic Rangers rebuild kind of pitchers though that they love to bring in and just try to shoot for.
They've been able to bring in those pitchers for 8, 9, 10 million a year, not 17.
That's true.
And then add in the fact that okay, this is a team that they've already said, John Daniels said that they're going to be slashing payroll. How much are they going to slash payroll? Because they also have an $18 million club option on Corey Kluber. Now, if the Rangers are pretty much going to say, okay, we are not going to take on, 2 guys making north of $15 million, just because I don't know. This is just conjecture right now. This is just a hypothetical situation. So if they pick up Corey Kluber's option for $18 million, they might say, okay, we can't do a money swap to take on a $17 million a year pitcher. But, if they do that trade, and it's really early on, they might say no on the option. But I think that they got the option pretty early. So I don't know. I think early on, whenever they have to make a decision on Kluber, I think that's going to be a really big indication on, okay, how much payroll are the Rangers going to slash this offseason? Because if they decide to not pick up that option with the lack of pitching depth that is Major League ready in the system right now, they're pretty much saying goodbye to a 2-time Cy Young winner who, he wasn't the same pitcher in 2019 and he's been injured this year, but that's still a pitcher when he's healthy. His pedigree speaks for itself.
Exactly.
And even $18 million is, I think, worth keeping that. But if the Rangers are really going to be slashing, I don't think they're going to slash that much. It didn't sound like John Daniels is saying, oh, well, their payroll initially going into 2020 was going to be I think it was a little north. It was like 147 or 148 million, something like that. Something in that range. The year before, it was 128 million. I think you're looking at more closer to the 2019 figure, like around the 125, 130 million. That's a pure guess on my part. I have no indication of what the actual number is going to be. But I don't think you're going to see anything stupid, crazy where they just, spend $50 million less. But this is 2020. I could be totally wrong on that.
Yeah, it's just kind of. Oh, go ahead, Cody.
Do you think ownership's getting ready to sell?
I haven't heard anything, honestly. I haven't heard anything about owners wanting to sell or people, potential buyers coming in. I haven't heard anything on that. I know that fans are wanting it. I sent them on Twitter for 10 seconds, and I can see, Ray Davis needs to sell the team, and I don't know, honestly. I've heard just kind of like little tiny rumblings, like maybe this is the time that Ray, decides to move on, or ownership decides to move. I don't know, but there's nothing concrete there. So until I start to, there's not enough smoke for me to think that there's a fire. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
I'm on team Mark Cuban by the Rangers. They'll spend some serious money.
Yeah, Mark Cuban won't be shy about it either. So
yeah, he'll spend all the money on the Rangers, leave his wife to keep Luka.
He's got a superstar NBA player to court for the remainder of his career, though.
Yeah,
so I think Mavericks fans are gonna want 100% of Cuban's attention to be on keeping Luka Doncic in a Mavericks uniform for the next 20 years.
Yeah,
100%.
Did you see the thing 100%. Saying he'd leave his wife if it meant keeping Luka in a uniform?
I did. That's just. I mean, I have had certain athletes that I have, just growing up being a gigantic sports fan, I've had certain athletes that I have idolized as a kid and I've really enjoyed watching growing up. But I love my wife more than anything in this world. There's not one athlete that I would dedicate that kind of commitment to. So
that's a great husband answer there.
Yeah, for real.
But I want to end it out on this one last question real quick. So the trade deadline coming past. I mean, obviously the Padres stole the show. What is your pick? If you had to go right now out on a limb and pick a World Series matchup, who do you see in it?
Matchup or winner?
Do both.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna go with one favorite, and then I'm gonna go. I understand they're in first place in their division right now, but I still think that a lot of people think that the Yankees are gonna somehow turn around and be the Yankees that people expected them to be. But I'm gonna say healthy. That's the thing, is that you don't know when Aaron Judge is gonna come back. There's a lot. They didn't address. I think that this was the time where they needed to be a little desperate at the deadline, and they weren't. I don't know if they were trying to be a little too shrewd. I don't know, but I'm gonna say Dodgers and Rays, and I'm gonna say the Dodgers win. I think this is the year. I see no flaw in the Dodgers, honestly. And when you have that kind of swagger to be like, no, we don't have to acquire a potential front runner for the Cy Young to still be the favorite. That's some. There's a South Park cartoon of a guy carrying something around in a wheelbarrow, and that is exactly what the Dodgers are right now. They are just walking around with all the confidence in the world that they are the best team in baseball, and they have every reason to prove that they are the best team in baseball because they are. So I have no reason to say. Now, the best of 3 round at the beginning, that could be the outlier that just makes all of us wrong. But
I think that was the cool part in all this is this season is that you see some of these teams actually buying that are not the typical teams you see buying. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like that. I don't know if I'm really a huge fan of like extending the playoffs for long term, but it's pretty fun to see that rather than just seeing the Yankees and the Red Sox just buying everybody out.
I will put it this way. The only team that I could see, beating the Dodgers is any team that's got a lot of left-handed pitching, because they seem to have really struggled with left-handed pitching at this point, just because a lot of their bats in their, big bats in their lineup are left-handed hitters, Muncy and Bellinger, Peterson, and, but I don't know. I still have a hard time betting against that. I do. So
Mike Minor shut them down.
He did. But do I think that the Oakland A's have a good enough rotation to beat the Dodgers in a 5-game series or a 7-game series? Absolutely not. No.
I don't think so either.
Do they have a better bullpen? Yeah, I think so. And I think the A's could steal a game or two just because of their bullpen. But rotation, no. Not close.
Yeah.
Even if you get the Mike Minor that led all of baseball in B-War last year, I think even if you have that Mike Minor, I still don't think the A's rotation is good enough.
Yeah, Minor would probably get the 1 or 2 wins that you were talking about.
If they get matched up, yeah.
Yeah.
But
he has to come back to form too, so.
Well, he looked to form against the Dodgers.
He did.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing with Mike Minor was his changeup just was not the same. I understand, like, you look at the numbers and, he's still getting a high whiff rate. He's still getting – his changeup did not look the same. And when a pitcher doesn't have the comfort level that they are supposed to have with their best out pitch. It is going to throw off everything else. It's going to throw off the way that he wants to throw his slider. It's going to throw off the way he wants to throw his fastball. And then he had to deal with being in his head of, oh, my fastball velocity is down 2 miles an hour. So he had a lot of stuff going on physically and mentally that I think was leading to his stuff, his issues, which is why he was struggling. But his last time out, his changeup looked a lot better, had a lot of good movement. So maybe the A's will get something, and they'll get the Mike Minor that the Rangers were expecting this year.
Yeah, I guess we just gotta wait and see on that one. But yeah, it's I'm excited. I'm just excited to see some of these young guys play, and it's about time. I mean, if we're not going to be competing, I'm just happy to see us get some of the young guys some reps. So, but Chris, I mean, thank you so much, man, for coming on our show. We really do appreciate you, and everybody needs to go out and give Chris a follow at Chris Halleck. You want to spell that?
Yeah, it's Chris is spelled the very traditional way of CHRIS. Halleck is spelled HALICKE, and just when it comes to pronunciation, if you ever get mixed up, just act like there's not an E on the end. Or I just started something on the site called hashtag Smart Halleck instead of Smart Alec. So I
like it.
I'm a fan of puns. So if you ever want to get me rolling, just tell me a punny joke, and I'll be on the floor laughing.
Oh, I'm a big fan of puns too.
Yeah.
All right, man. Awesome.
Thank you so much,
Chris.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right, guys. In this week's edition of Q Stories, a very special guest, Quentin's longtime friend Graham, coming to join the show to help tell this spooky story. Tyler and I haven't heard it yet. We're super excited about it because Quentin's really hyped it up the last few days.
Yeah, this one's pretty spectacular, man. It's honestly one of the most terrifying moments of my life, and I didn't feel like I could do it justice by telling this by myself. I had to bring Graham in. Graham, what's going on?
Oh man, I'm excited to tell this story. It's probably one of the most extreme paranormal instances in my life. Had a few of them, but this one was definitely the one that freaked me out the most.
Yeah. So, Graham, you want to lay down the backstory a little bit for us?
Yeah. So, just to kind of set the scene, Quentin's house we grew up in was built by his family, and it's on an old military base that's in a small town in Texas. So they used it during the Vietnam War. So it's been closed for so long. So spooky things happen at Quentin's house already. We've experienced some things, but this specific time was
Quentin living there
was definitely intense. So this was I don't know, 2014, 2015. We had just gotten our driver's license. We were 16 years old. I mean, we were.
No, this is mean like 2010, 2011.
Yeah. Oh wow. See,
yeah,
my time
completely off on years. Yeah,
y'all are so old.
We're really old. That aged me hard. But it was a crazy time for our lives. But anyway, so we're hanging out at his house. We're watching a movie, and kind of set the way Quentin's house is set up is in the front part is like the kitchen and the dining room area, and then a straight path back is their like TV room basically.
Let me tell you this. This house is in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Yeah, middle of nowhere. I mean, we're 20 minutes outside of an already small town.
Was it in Mineral Wells?
Yes.
Yeah, Mineral Wells. Okay. Yeah, and my parents were gone, so it was just me and Graham.
Yeah, so we're home alone. And when you are standing in the front part of the house, you can look back and see to the movie room, which is like pretty much the other side of the house. And so I'm up at the front. I'm talking on the phone, and I hear this like banging on the front porch. And there's these two big glass windows that face outside to the front porch. And I'm standing pretty much right in front of them. Curtains are closed. And I hear this banging coming onto the porch, kind of like a table was getting lifted up and sat back down. Lifted up and then sat back down. And so I was like, that's kind of weird. And I was like, hey, Quentin, do you know what this banging noise is? And we thought it was his dog, Nellie, his pug, if you haven't heard about her.
My cute ass pug.
Dang, she was around back then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was around. She's an old bitch.
Yeah, Nellie's an old one. So I look out the window, and her and their other dog, Dawson, are both sitting right there on the porch. And so I'm like, oh, okay, it's the dogs. Didn't think twice. Closed the curtain, went back to talking on the phone. Not even 30 seconds later, here it goes again. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, what is going on? So I open up the curtain again, but this time Nellie and the dogs are out in the front yard, not even close to the porch. It's like no way they could have been making that noise. So that kind of freaked me out a little bit. And I was like, yo, Quentin, come up here. You need to check this out. Quentin, go ahead.
Yeah. And so I come up there and I'm like, and I start hearing the noise too as soon as I get closer to Graham, and I'm like, what is that, right? And so we go up to the door, we pull it open, and we're like, there's nothing there. And so we're like, if somebody's got to be messing with us, it's got to be one of our friends, it's got to be something like that, right? Because as soon as we close the door, we start hearing a knock at the back door, and we're like, what the hell is this? So we go to the back door, right? We get all the way up to the back door, still knocking, and we open the door, and it just stops. Nobody's there. Right? As soon as we close it, here's the knock at the front door again. And so this happens like 10 more times. Like we didn't go all the way up, and it got to the point where we'd be almost like halfway through the house, and then the knocks would change to the other side of the house. And there was like fences on each side, so you couldn't just run around the house and just keep knocking on doors and keep screwing with us like that, you know? And so, yeah. And
so y'all didn't think one stay at the front, one stay at the back?
Well, listen,
kind of.
At this point, we're a bit irrational because we're just like, what could be doing this? Like, is it the neighbor? Because he was about 2-3 years older than us, so definitely was like one of the high school kids that picked on you, and totally could have seen him doing this. Like, yeah, totally could have seen him doing this. But I mean, there's no one, no sounds, no nothing, and we're in literally the middle of nowhere.
This house is haunted, all right, man. We've heard the stories. I heard the stories as a little kid. I witnessed things. I saw shadows. I've seen doors close, slam in front of me. All this stuff. I've had cups like slung off my nightstand. This is the house I grew up in. Yeah. And so we're already freaked out by this point. Like, and we're home alone, and we're like, all right, yeah, what are we gonna do, right? Because we get into the middle of the house, and we're just hearing this knocking, and the banging's just getting louder and louder and more intense, and so we kind of freak out, right? And Graham, go ahead.
So we get to a point where we're like, all right, it's probably our buddy. You know what? We're going to mess with him. So we kind of waited up at the front to hear the knocking. And like, as soon as like first knock, because it would be like 2 or 3 knocks, like first knock hits, we're standing right by the front door with a BB gun, and Quentin's got a baseball bat because we were just going to pop him once and, fuck with him, right?
I also didn't know where my dad hid the actual weapons.
Yeah. Responsible gun owners, we used a BB gun. So we open up the door and nothing's there. I mean, literally nothing. One knock and open door, nothing's there. So we kind of get freaked out. And as soon as I go to close the door, I'm telling you, it felt like a 30-40 mile an hour gust of wind just blew the door into me.
This thing knocks us back so hard, it knocks Graham into me, and we both hit the wall straight behind us, and it knocks us straight on our ass.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. I'm not kidding. It could have been a 30-40 mile an hour gust of wind, which not in Texas, not at that time of that time of the year. And so, I mean, we both like, I finally get the door kicked shut. I'm like, what the hell just happened?
So our hysterical asses were like, what the hell are we going to do now? We're like, oh shit. So our idea is we're going to open up this freaking door. We're going to take the hell off. We're going to hop in my car and we're going to town because we're not staying here tonight now.
Yeah. No way. No way I was staying in that house.
So we basically, we're lined up on the door again. We have the same weapons. Don't know why we didn't choose anything better. We were freaking out. And so we get on the door again and we open it and we just take off sprinting out to the car, right?
Didn't even close the door. Just took off. Boom.
So we didn't close the door. We get into the car and I'm in the front seat and I'm like, I start turning on the car. I see the lights come on. I look at my front door. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't close my front door. My mom's gonna be pissed. Right. And out of nowhere, it just slammed shut right in front of us. And we're like, well, screw that. We're freaking out. And so we start driving to town And this craziness doesn't end there yet. So we go what's the back road, right, Grant?
Yeah, so there's two ways you can get to Mineral Wells from Quentin's house. Now, mind you, like I said, we're like 20 minutes out in the middle of nowhere. To get to Quentin's house, you turn down a farm road, and then that's another 10-minute drive down a farm road to Quentin's house. I'm saying like BFE, nowhere. So there's two routes to go. There's a back route, which is kind of windy and cuts through some ranches that are back there, or you can take the route up to the highway, which takes you on the big loop. So it takes a little bit longer to get to town that way.
Well, to be honest, too, I don't know why we took that way, because that way is spooky.
It is spookier. It is spookier, but it is quicker.
It is quicker. Yeah,
it
that's
is
for
quicker
sure.
to get to town. So we hit that back route, and I don't know, we're doing 25 around corners. We're hitting the straights at like 90 miles an hour, blowing. We are gone. And then literally all of a sudden, this giant light, I'm talking,
dude, huge.
I mean, huge. It looked like the sun was like literally right in front of us. Blows right in front of the windshield of the car at like Mach 2.
Yeah. Dude, it was the fastest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, and Quentin slams on the brakes. We are, what the, like, hell has just happened to us. Go back into it again. We finally get to Fuzzy's taco shop, which is a Texas thing.
The only thing open.
Yeah, literally the only thing open. We get to Fuzzy's taco shop. We're like, all right, we're chilling here until we can figure out what the hell we're doing tonight. Because the plan was to get drunk. The plan was to have a good time. The beer was left at the house. You know, we can't get any more.
You left the beer?
We left the beer, man.
Amateurs.
I should have gone back.
The thing
exactly.
is, the thing is,
ghost would have respected y'all for
you
that.
You couldn't have paid me to go back to that house that night.
no, dude. And the thing is,
Did
like,
you
I
ever
tell
go back
this
to the
story-
house again?
Oh yeah,
Of course.
I had to spend the last 2 years of high school, 3 years of high school there.
No, I was talking to Graham.
Oh yeah.
Graham back.
I lived at Quentin's house.
Not literally lived there, but like he was there all the time.
Literally, yeah.
Basically enough.
Hanging out pretty much every day. He had a hot
No.
tub, a pool. His parents didn't care if we drank. His parents didn't really care what we did. We'd have our friends over. They just,
Yeah, other than the ghost, man, it was a cool time.
you know, maybe one or two.
We
Only
don't kiss
one
and
or
tell.
two.
Yeah. I'm sure Quentin only had one or two
I'm
girls.
a modest feller.
Hey, my girlfriend behind the show.
Barney Stimson over here.
But yeah, anyways, it was one of the most terrifying things ever. And I always tell this story to people, and I'm like, this made me 100% believe in ghosts, man. And I'm like, they're like, oh, you were high. And I was like, I wasn't high.
Nope.
I wish I was high. I wish that was a high experience.
It would have explained everything, but no. Unfortunately, I was sober.
Yeah, very unfortunately, I was sober and had to experience that. No, dude, like, I'm telling you, literally shaking. Like, I get chills in my body just thinking about this story. So it's, yeah.
It was an experience. It was definitely an experience.
Yeah, you can say that.
So, did y'all end up staying at a hotel, or did you go back to the house?
We ended
Did
up
you
going
stay
back
somewhere else?
to my parents' house that night and just hanging out playing video games.
No other altercations.
Nope, the night
Not
was
that night,
quiet.
anyways.
I mean, not that
Okay.
night. Now, Quentin's house, there was always something weird always going on at Quentin's house.
When your parents got home, did they say anything?
No, they didn't say nothing.
They didn't get home until like 2-3 in the morning. They were at the casino that night.
Yeah, they were gambling.
They drove up.
They could care less.
They drove up to Oklahoma. They drove up to Oklahoma to go gambling, so we were just hanging out. They were gone all night, and that happened probably at like 8 o'clock at night. It was just getting dark.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
like,
not even like typical ghost story time. Like,
it wasn't like
yeah.
midnight or anything like that. It was like the sun, like you could still see daylight outside, but it was getting there.
So
Dang.
yeah,
These
and,
ghosts getting bold out here.
yeah, they got very, very bold. So yeah, in conclusion, Graham and I got thrown into a wall by a ghost.
Yep.
Wow. And you saw possibly a UFO. I don't know what the light
Yeah.
thing was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know either.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how
We don't know.
Like, did the ghosts team up with the aliens? Like, what the hell?
I guess.
Did y'all ever Google it to see?
I explain what I see, and that's all I can say. I can't call it a UFO. I don't know what it was, but man, let me tell you, that was some scary shit.
Yes,
I bet.
yes, it was. Yeah. So, yeah, there you have it.
Wow. Another wild Q story. This one a little bit spookier. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sleep very well after this one.
Dude, it's raining at my house right now.
Oh, R.I.P.
Yeah,
you ain't sleeping at all.
Yep.
I'm gonna turn it on. I'm gonna turn on Criminal Minds after this, and
Perfect show to watch.
Yeah, get some serial killer stuff going on.
There you go.
Put on The Strangers while you're at it.
Yeah, right.
Where should I go with Big Bang Theory, Tyler?
Anything else? Literally anything else. Worst possible show of all time.
It is the worst show.
Sorry, I take that back. Anything else besides those two?
Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, jeez. So you just write down a list of laugh tracks and fake laughing. Interesting.
Yes.
Everybody loves
Maybe you should watch some Amy Schumer stand up to get some more fake laughing.
No.
Oh,
Jesus.
Ooh, low blow.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That is true.
Which one?
Amy Schumer.
Amy Schumer. Any of her movies or stand up or just talking?
No. I think I'll go with Everybody Loves Raymond. That's a good one.
Hey, you don't want to watch her in Trainwreck with LeBron James?
Listening to
no.
Shoot, if you want to get as terrified as my story, go ahead and watch Trainwreck.
Oof.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
All right, guys. Well, we got a key story in there.
Yep.
Graham, thank you for hanging on through our shit.
No, yeah, it was funny. I had a good time. I can't wait for this episode to come out.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Graham.
Yeah,
appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
You too. Take care.
Y'all have a good one.
Stay frosty.
Love you, Graham.
Love you too, guys. Bye.
Now we're going to kick it over to college football. Tyler, what's going on today?
Yes, sir. Before we get to college football WAP pick'ems, we'll get to that in a second. Briefly, we'll just go through the opt-outs. There's been a lot this week. UCF had 10 players opting out of the season, including 2 starters. UCF went from national champs a couple years ago to now just like a depleted roster. It's a damn shame. They're still
better than A&M.
Still better than A&M. They're still voted as the number 1 team in their conference, but that was before these 10 players opted out. So we'll see if they actually live up to that. The other school, another team in the South, has some opt-outs. LSU lost Jamar Chase, great receiver on that national championship team. That's just another player that they've lost. They also lost Tyler Shelvin, their D lineman, earlier this week. At this point, LSU has lost probably most their starters at this point.
All but I think it was 2, I think.
2 or 3 at this point from last year's team. So they're definitely going to be not rebuilding this year. They'll still bounce back, but they won't be as good as they were last year.
They'll probably be a middle of the pack SEC team. I would think like a bowl game, maybe probably 7-8 wins.
I would say probably like 9 or 10. They're not going to win the SEC this year.
I'm going with 4.
Ooh,
interesting.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, let's
very bold statement.
Let's set the over under at 5.5, Tyler, and Quentin's gonna have to do the WAP.
Okay, sounds good.
I don't want to do the WAP on that one.
No.
Speaking of WAP, let's explain WAP real quick.
It's not Cardi B.
It's not WAP. It's WAP. It's Wheel of Punishments. So every time we decide we want to do a Wheel of Punishments for some activity, some betting, some event, whatever it is, we'll set a WAP on it. We'll call it the WAP event or whatever. And that means whoever loses is going to have to spin the Wheel of Punishment. And those punishments are going to get suggested by y'all, the fans, and also the winners as well. So it's a little fun game we want to play. So we're going to be doing it with college football. We're going to be doing the whole season. We're going to have different games every week that we're going to pick. And then the loser is going to have to spin the Wheel of Punishment. He's going to have to do some WAP.
And suffer.
Oh, and he's going to suffer. And it ain't going to be me.
Well,
I'm just saying.
I already know I'm going to be the Joe of this. Tyler's probably going to be the Sal.
Is Q the Q?
Clearly. Except you're going to lose more than Q does.
That's true.
I don't know. He just said LSU is going to win only 5 games. So I don't think he's going to be very good with his pick.
If I'm not lying, I wasn't paying attention.
Right.
You not paying attention?
It's surprising, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, people's mothers listen to this, man.
Yeah, right?
I wonder who those people are. I'd like to meet those people. But anyways, we got 4 games this week we're going to be picking. It's kind of the first week of college football. Last week we had Central Arkansas against Austin P, which if anyone watched that, absolute garbage game. Terrible.
Props to you for watching that.
Terrible. I had it on, but I was watching MMA and I was also watching the Lakers game, mostly for the memes.
How many screens do you have?
So I was flipping between the 2 games on TV and I had MMA on my laptop. Multitasking, baby. Got it.
I wish you could see the disappointment in my face right now.
Oh, I bet. Well, that's coming from you, bud. What do you watch? Like 3 different Disney movies at once?
No, sir.
Yeah,
sir.
Freaking.
I've been watching Cobra Kai, which is awesome. I highly recommend watching that.
It's probably not as good as Ted Lasso. I highly recommend that. But anyways, let's get into some college football picks. We have 4 games this week. 3 of them are with 6 Texas schools, and none of the good ones.
Talking about, come on now.
SMU, I would say, is a top 5 school.
Is no scrub, but
UTEP's number 1.
We're not talking about Texas. We're not talking about TCU, Texas Tech, Baylor. We're not talking about
Houston.
I hate to say it, Houston,
Rice.
And
Rice. Tech. UTSA. Not talking about.
Are we forgetting someone? No, I think we're good.
I don't think so.
Tarleton State's D1 now, right?
They're not
Tarleton State, Abilene Christian. Let's just name all those good Texas schools. I don't think we're forgetting anyone.
McMurray,
Texas Southern.
All right,
Lamar.
Okay, we're done with this. Anyways, we're not talking about the big FBS schools that are either competing at the top of their conferences or at least bowl eligible. We're not talking about them except for SMU. So we got 4 games: SMU, Texas State, Houston Baptist, go HBU against North Texas. We got SFA against UTEP. And then a little fun one on Monday, we got BYU against Navy Midshipmen. So that will be our. What the fuck was that?
I lost power and my Google Home just came back on.
It gave some dramatic music to the to the Navy game.
Keep going.
Dum dum dum.
Yeah. So right now in DFW we're having some storms, so my power just flickered.
Don't even try to save this. Don't even try to save it. I'll just start again. Okay, the 4 games this week, we got SMU at Texas State, HBU at North Texas, SFA at UTEP. Those are the 3 big Texas games. Well, medium-sized Texas games. I think that's the right word.
It's more of a medium, like a small medium.
Schmedium.
Yeah, it's a schmedium, you know.
Yeah.
And then last one, a little fun one, we got BYU and Navy. Interesting matchup there.
Now, those aren't Texas schools.
Those are not Texas schools.
Yeah, we decided to go with probably the best matchup out of the non-Texas schools, since there's only 3 Texas games happening.
Yeah, well, every week we're going to be doing mostly Texas schools, but we'll do like few games of the week. Like if Auburn's playing Alabama, Auburn's going to win that game.
Auburn's going to win the football game.
Auburn's going to win the football game.
Chris Davis.
Or any games where we're just like, hey, this is a fun one. Let's throw that on there.
I'm taking Appalachian State over the field.
Yes.
Especially Michigan.
So let's start first with SMU at Texas State. SMU is a 22-point favorite, and the over-under is 70 points. SMU has never lost to Texas State. They're 2-0 in the 2 matchups, including the one last year where they won 47-17. SMU is such a close game. SMU is coming off a 10-3 season, and I think Texas State was 3-9 last year, to my knowledge.
Powerhouse.
Hey, but they have heart.
Texas State has been struggling the last couple of years, and they're trying to right the ship. And SMU is looking to becoming a one of those big at-large schools that will eventually make into the playoffs. SMU is led by Shane Buechele. Steve
Buechele's son.
Yes, from Texas. He used to be the starter at Texas before Sam Ehlinger, the GOAT, took his job, unfortunately. But we still love him. We still love Shane Buechele. He's killing it at SMU in his 10th year. I don't even know what his eligibility is at this point.
Unclear.
Last year, he had 4,000 yards, 35 touchdowns. He is really the guy you're going to be looking at this game. There's a lot of other good players on SMU. There aren't too many key players on Texas State. They'll be replacing a lot of guys from last year, so they're a little bit depleted. But really, the keys to victory today are all going to center around Shane Buechele and how well he does. This is more than likely going to be a pretty easy game for SMU. I think the three of us are basically on the same page, but I think we'll start with Q. Q, who do you got in this game?
Tyler, I thought long and hard.
Did you now?
No, I'm going to pick SMU.
Cody, who you got?
Ooh, this is a tough one. I think I'm going to go with those Methodists out in Dallas.
You going with the Methodists?
Yeah.
You going with SMU?
I thought he said they're gonna make a mess of this.
Oh, they are going to make a mess of this.
Make a mess of Texas. Right.
The ponies are going to be stomping all over whatever the hell Texas State's mascot is. I don't know.
Bobcats.
Oh, wow.
What is a bobcat?
It's a cat whose name is Bob.
Yes. He might be related to Bob the Builder. We don't know. Sure.
Well, you were talking about them trying to fix their program. Bob the Builder can fix it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I guess he's the only one. Hopefully the only one can fix it. I don't know.
They may be pretty helpless. I don't know if Bob the Builder could win A&M a championship.
Well, A&M can't win a championship with anyone coaching.
Yeah. Hey, Graham started talking the crap, so...
it doesn't matter if they got God back there coaching the team. Yeah. They aren't winning an SEC championship.
Well, I think they do. I think they believe they have God in Jimbo, but
Yeah, and they believe they had God and freaking Johnny Manziel at QB, but clearly he was not behaving like a god.
No, they just
off the field.
They just wasted Manziel.
Oh, of course, just like everything. That's the A&M way. They gotta waste everything. Anyways, rounding it out. No surprise, I got SMU. I think SMU should cover the spread and then some. I think they should. I expect this game they'll win by between 25 to 30. I think that's my guess. But anyways.
What was the spread?
22.
Oh, yeah, I'd take the over.
Over
I have to take SMU on it. What about the over-under?
70 points. I would take the under on that.
I'll go the over.
You'll go over?
Yeah.
Q, what are you thinking?
I'm going over.
You going over?
All right. Okay. Let's just do the WAP on game
Yeah,
result.
we're just doing picks.
Yeah.
We're just doing picks. That'd be too difficult. Me and my buddy for the MMA picks, we're starting to do that. We're doing rounds. We're doing way that they win. It's kind of complicated, but that sport, it's easier to guess. Football, it's more up in the air. So we'll just stick to picks for our WAPs. Next game. Pride of Cody Smith and me, HBU against North Texas.
Where Quentin went.
Yeah.
So,
go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.
Whoa. Cody,
JK,
you
JK.
worked 2 years for HBU. Do you have no respect?
I said JK.
Let's start with UNT's breakdown. They're going to be replacing Mason Fine, who was a pretty solid.
GOAT.
He was a fine quarterback.
He was a fine quarterback for UNT.
Fine
man. They have not named the starter yet, but I think if I was the coach, I'd be starting Austin Ani. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's the 27-year-old veteran QB. He started as a Yankees minor league pitcher, I'm pretty sure, and then he returned to play at Arkansas and then transferred to UNT. He's going to be someone who's going to probably lead the team through this kind of crazy year. I would personally pick him as a starter. We don't have statistics on him yet because this would be his first season for UNT. They're a pretty balanced team. Trey Sigurds last year had 850 yards rushing. To my knowledge, their offense is very multiple, and a lot of the packages they use, they'll be mixing up with different short, long, different types of runs as well. They're going to be doing everything to kind of mix it up and stay fresh in their game plan. Offensively for HBU, I think all eyes are going to be on, of course, Bailey Zappi, one of the leading passers in the FCS level. He comes in with 3,800 passing yards, 35 touchdowns. It's his senior year. He's got really 3 games left, and he's trying to put a stamp on it so he can kind of get some looks in the NFL.
And 2 stud receivers.
Oh, 2 stud receivers. You know, Bailey is a fantastic quarterback, and he definitely deserves the credit he gets, but Ben Ratzlaff and Jared Stearns do not get the credit they deserve at all.
Oh, they're fantastic quarterback or receivers.
Yeah, both of them are just like, both these guys though are going to put up a lot of volume of catches each game. I think remember last year they had a game where both had like 13 catches in the game, which is ridiculous.
Probably that South Dakota game.
I think it was that South Dakota game, which was a really huge game for HBU. If nobody saw the highlights for that, but that was kind of like a breakout game for them. Huge upset by them.
It's on YouTube if y'all want to watch. It was a really good game. It was a really good game. Final minutes, they had an insane 2-point conversion. I think they're tied in through a game-winning touchdown or the game-winning 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
Who are these people?
That was Coleman Robinson, right?
Shout out Coleman.
Shout out Coleman, one of our fans. HBU is a program that not too many people know outside of Texas, and even in Texas. They're still a relatively new program.
Houston.
Or really in Houston, but they're really starting to kind of get the ball rolling. I think it's their 8th year, and what they've done in 8 years is really impressive to be at a point where they can really start competing at the FCS level, to have all these studs on offense and the studs on defense. Defensively, they're much improved from last year. They're returning most of their starters from last year. They did lose their sack leader, Andre Walker, last year, who had 15 sacks.
They were ravaged by injuries last year.
They're returning their core linebacker group, including their leader, Caleb Johnson, and Brennan Young. And then also they got a lot of these young guys coming in. They're developing. They're really good players. Tra Fluellen, who had 101 tackles last year as a freshman safety. How impressive is that?
That's a lot of tackles.
All right, let's jump to our picks, Tyler.
Hold on real quick. I think I've given enough love to HBU, but much improved. UNT's defense is also very solid. They're returning a lot of their starters from last year too. Real quick, key players, Bailey Zappi and Caleb Johnson for HBU. And then whoever starts for QB for UNT, he'll be a key player. And then Trey Sigurds, he will need to have a good day running the ball to keep that team balanced. I think that's enough breaking down that game. Who y'all got picks?
Me first?
Yep.
Well, sorry, Tyler, with all your HBU love there.
I had to, I had to give some credit where credit's due.
It's not like he works for the team or anything.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna pick UNT.
I was gonna say UNT too, but they don't know who their quarterback is gonna be, and I think 2 quarterbacks is no quarterback. Nah, FBS over FCS. UNT is still a good team. I'm gonna go UNT, but I think HBU wins the spread.
Yeah, there's no spread or over under for this for some reason.
Whatever the spread is, I'm giving it to HBU.
Yeah, I got HBU, of course. I obviously just gave them a lot of love, but it's going to be closer than the 2 or 3 experts that are following this game think. It's definitely going to be closer.
It's going to be a shootout, I think.
It's going to be a shootout for sure, and it's probably I'd say it's probably within 10 points. I'd say
for a while there, I thought that UNT was building up their program pretty well. After they had that one really, really good year, and Mason Fine really stepped on the map, and I thought they were about to about to take some big steps, and then they just went back to the same mediocre program they were.
Yeah, and I think this year they're going to try to turn around again, but it's hard when you transition from QBs. I don't think
exactly.
UNT will probably be like a middle of the line bowl team, I think.
We'll keep an eye on them, obviously, week to week, see how they're doing. Maybe they'll turn things around. Maybe whoever the
By the way,
QB.
we're keeping score of all these wins and losses too. So
for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sorry to my HVU friends for picking UNT.
Yeah, ridiculous. Worked for them for 2 years. Come on now.
hey, I don't want to spin that wheel, bud.
But hey, I'm gonna take your scholarship for that pick. But
what's the next game?
Moving on to another Southland team, SFA is going to be playing who HBU played last year, UTEP.
Can we talk about them for 20 minutes?
No, we're going to talk about them for about 2 minutes. That's why I spent a lot of time, because I feel like most people are going to watch the UNT game over SFA and UTEP. But this game is not very exciting. SFA came in from a 3-9 record last year. UTEP
Lumberjacks are always exciting. Okay.
No.
Lumberjack. Tyler's so confused. Y'all have seen Step Brothers, you'll understand.
Keep going.
UTEP 2-34 in the last 3 seasons. We got 2 teams at the bottom of their conferences. It's gonna be sloppy. It's not gonna be a good game, I don't think. Yeah.
Do you know who the quarterback is for SFA?
Trey Self. He's returning from last year. He is a solid QB, but they lost a few guys, few graduating seniors. Their defense is inconsistent. Their offense is inconsistent. Their offense is very streaky at times. They're making a lot of explosive plays. At times, they're having trouble scoring. It's just kind of what they are. Really, besides that, UTEP-wise, they're going to be a little bit bigger than SFA, have a little bit more bodies. That's definitely going to be an X factor for this game. But it's going to be pretty close. There's really 2 teams. They're trying to figure it out, and they're trying to rebuild, and they're not there yet. Yeah. So let's jump into picks real quick. We'll get this one out of the way. Who y'all got?
I got the UTEP
Miners.
The Miners. In honor of John Haskins. No, I have SFA. UTEP is not very good.
I also have SFA. I think if UTEP was an FCS, I think the FCS team.
Yeah.
UTEP. Which is saying something.
Yeah.
See, I'm a bold man. You know, I make bold decisions, Tyler.
You're a man.
You're bold?
I am both of these things.
And both those things are going to cause you to lose and spin the wheel at some point.
I just need to make the same picks as Quentin.
Yeah, just do that. And I'll win, and then y'all will be stuck for last. Sounds good to me. Mm-hmm. Last game. We'll just say these picks real quick, because I don't think any of us know anything about Navy or BYU. None of us are Mormon, and none of us served in the Navy.
What?
The Navy, not the Navy. Who y'all got?
What's BYU's nickname according to Jonathan?
The Fighting Mormons?
Yeah, there we go.
The Fighting Mormons.
What is their actual name? Mountain Lions or something?
The Cougars. Like
Cougars?
You're thinking Karen the Cougar from Talladega Nights.
You're thinking of Penn State.
Yeah.
With the Lions.
Oh, yeah.
Lions.
The Nittany Lions, whatever that means. Before we pick real quick, sorry. The line is even and over under 52.5.
Oh, so it's even now?
Yeah. So if y'all could give me your picks and then also say over under. What you think?
I got Navy.
And over under? 52.5?
Under.
Yeah. Cody?
I'm going to take BYU with the under.
Okay, and I'm going with Navy. I'm also going with the under. I think anytime you're playing a triple option team, you always got to take the under.
Oh, most definitely.
Most definitely. But that does it for our WAP picks, and that is the end of college football for this week. we will definitely be talking more next week when we get some real teams playing. We're moving on to NFL real quick. We had some injuries this week in the NFL. Jalen Reagor, former TCU player, one of Cody's beloved players.
No. I will roast Jalen Reagor. His hands are horrible.
Okay, shoot. I didn't know you felt that
way. I didn't like Reagor going into the. I loved him going to the Eagles.
Well, you probably loved him getting. Yeah. No, go ahead.
Oh, no. As a Cowboys fan, I love that we ended up with CeeDee Lamb and they ended up with Reagor.
Yeah.
Yeah, one is clearly better than the other. And one team is not going to be having a receiver for a while. Jalen Reagor's out for 4 weeks with a shoulder injury. The big one, though, was Chargers safety Derwin James tore his meniscus.
Injury.
Out 6 to 8 months. Oh, and also Carson Wentz is hurt again. Shocker.
And Tyrell Williams.
But it just goes to what we've been talking about for weeks. Injuries. Because of this pandemic, a lot of these, I think they're calling it soft tissue injuries, where guys are just, their bodies are not used to this training because they've had kind of this time to kind of sit out and they weren't trained consistently like they have for the past couple of years. Mm-hmm. So their bodies have just been more likely to get hurts from like non-contact injuries and other things like that because their bodies are just not fully prepared, which sucks. It really does.
Yeah.
Other news, notable news this week. We just found out within a couple hours before we record this show that there's rumors of Alvin Kamara possibly being traded. Cody, do you kind of want to explain what's going on with that?
Yeah, so Alvin Kamara, I'm kind of an expert on this now since I own him in one of my fantasy football money leagues. So earlier Tuesday morning, Kamara, or someone sent out a tweet, I forgot who it was, but it was a pretty credible NFL person, saying that he requested a trade or the Saints were looking to trade him. But then later tonight, I think it was Rappaport came out and tweeted that Kamara and his agent both said that they never requested a trade, but the Saints are still kind of looking to move him because he's missed the last few days of practice.
The way I've been looking at this, I keep looking at all these kind of rumors and transactions and stuff like that. I'm looking at like it's kind of chess and they're planning things a few steps ahead. Yeah. Maybe they're not trying to trade Alvin Kamara, but at least they're laying the groundwork for trying to kind of soften that blow if they do. That's why they're maybe they leak this. They may potentially trade him or not, just in case like they can't figure out the contract and it becomes an issue. You know,
it's just another running back trying to get paid, man. And I mean, we've seen it a few times now. This basically same type of scenario come up with. I don't know. From what I've seen on the reports, the Saints are willing to pay him too, just as they are willing to trade him. They just don't want to pay him Christian McCaffrey money, and that's completely understandable, especially with how running backs are these days. And I mean, if it depends on your opinion on them, on how the stats work on that and how the metrics work. In my opinion, running backs are the most easily replaceable position in football, especially in the NFL. But
and they don't last very long.
But Kamara is a very, very good one. So, you know, you could debate both ways on it. But I don't know. If I was in the Saints position, I'm not really sure what I would do with him right now. I mean, I think he stays. I don't think he goes anywhere.
Yeah, I think this is just a bunch of hoopla. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So I think he's probably going to stay with the Saints. But we've been seeing this kind of, as of late, the running back position has kind of been questioned the last few years, just kind of like, how exactly are we gonna go running back by committee, or are we going to try to have a star running back? Like, the era of offenses is kind of changing to where we're throwing a lot more. There's a lot more plays per game. And that means that the running back position has to shift a little bit too. And then you throw in there the fact that it's just like they don't last very long and they're easily replaceable. So there's a lot of like these running backs where teams are kind of just wondering, is like, should we keep him much longer or should we just move on and maybe build a running back by committee or maybe get a young guy in there and start preparing him. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we saw this situation with the Jaguars this week with Leonard Fournette, who was an absolute beast in college, and then he just kind of hasn't lived up to it in the NFL. He's still their starter. He's still giving them some pretty solid production, but they try to trade him. Nobody wanted him, and this week
nobody wanted him at all.
They couldn't get a 6 for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody claimed him on waivers.
Yeah. So he got dropped, didn't get claimed on waivers. It's kind of shitty. It really is. You know, he was, again, like I said, he was productive for the Jaguars. But now that they've released him and found that he had no value and couldn't trade him either, that just depletes his value even more. We'll see if anyone picks him up. I don't know. I kind of hear that Bill Belichick noise off in the distance. Maybe he'll do that.
Turn him into LeGarrette Blount.
Hey, man, they need someone for right now. I don't think they have really a running back that they go to. They're always a running back by committee, and I think maybe Leonard Fournette could fit into that role there,
I think he'd be better in that.
I think so, too, and I think Cam would like that, but there's probably other teams, too. Who knows?
Redskins. Football team.
Yeah, there you go.
Was the second week in a row? Golly, Cody.
Yeah.
Washington football team, get it right. Get through your head. Oh, my gosh.
You said it, too, so...
I did, yeah.
But
all right, yeah. My future career.
I mean, God, the Jaguars, man. Oh goodness, they drafted him over freaking over what was it? Pat Mahomes too, and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
because they had Blake Bortles,
and they turned their backs on Blake Bortles. They did that too. The Jaguars have come a long way from where they used to be. They used to be a playoff team. And it's just sad. It makes me so mad. So mad that I think it's time for rant time. I think it is.
Go into it.
Jaguars.
Here we go.
Bro, like, what are we doing with the Jaguars? Like, I get that you guys get rid of Fournette, but you trade away N'Goku, who was a great D lineman for y'all. And then it's just like, for years now, you've just been taking away any player that was good on your team. You trade them away, you release them, you get rid of any veterans. And then there's constantly just rumors going around that y'all are tanking. Every single year, you're tanking.
They're going for Lawrence.
Yeah, they're tanking for Lawrence. And it's just like, what does this do for the young guys you have in your program, like Gardner Minshew, who's been busting his butt and outplaying what everyone expected him to be?
I hope the mustache just takes him to the playoffs this year and just ruins it all for him.
No, the front office is making sure that shit does not happen. Which, how do you feel as Gardner Minshew when I think he threw 26 touchdowns last year and like 6 interceptions? Was really solid in a messy situation last year. And they're already talking about, we want to tank for Trevor Lawrence. Y'all are tanking for Trevor Lawrence. So let me get this straight. He had one good year on one of the greatest teams of all time in college football. He had just an okay sophomore year. And then y'all want to tank for him after the pandemic year. Yeah. Why would you want to do that? Why
Jaguars?
Because Jaguars. And it's like, come on, guys. Can we make some smart decisions? It's like y'all are looking like the Knicks. Y'all are looking like the Jets. You're looking like the Browns. Like, it's like the Kings. Every decision you make is like, hey, how can we ruin the program even more? Oh, I have an idea. Let's get rid of this player. Oh, let's
take Fournette over Pat Mahomes, just like the Kings take Bagley over Luka.
What they need to do is the whole front office needs to just freaking go. All of them, every single one of them. I don't know what their names are. I could care.
Tom Coughlin.
Oh, not only that, there were some players. There were some players that were that the Jaguars weren't actually giving them their paychecks or something like that.
Really, I didn't hear about that, but now I'm getting even more mad.
I don't want to speak more on it because I don't exactly remember the whole story, but it was they screw over their players too. So it's not a good organization from the top down.
Yeah, and like, how do you expect to win? It doesn't matter if you bring in a Trevor Lawrence. First of all, you should be putting all your chips on one player, especially freaking Fabio, like female Fabio over there, whatever you want to call him. The dude who's literally has a chick on TikTok like once a week who looks like him. Like, why would you want to put your chips on this guy who, don't get me wrong, is a
TikTok.
It's on Twitter. I don't watch TikTok.
Right. Don't believe
I really
him.
did think that was Trevor Lawrence.
It did it not?
I thought it
they were
was.
like twins. It's amazing. But why do you want to put your chips on a QB, Trevor Lawrence? And a QB is not going to do everything for your team when you're taking away everyone else on the team. Like, it's that simple. How good is Trevor Lawrence going to do when he has no receivers? Y'all got rid of Allen Robinson a couple years ago. You got no running back now.
Well,
you probably have no line.
They have a decent receiving core.
Decent.
DJ Chark, they drafted Chenault, whatever, the guy from Colorado, who's really good. And
But how long
Westbrook.
D.D. Westbrook, yes. But how long until those guys are gone?
Well,
at this rate?
Chark was a great standout rookie last year.
He was, but you know what that looks like to the Jaguars? Oh, he's a good player. Oh, we can move him for something.
Let's move him for a 4.
Yeah. No, I saw something. It's like they're looking like LSU after all the graduations and COVID. That playoff team from a couple years ago is like completely gone at this point. D.D. Westbrook is one of the few players that was on that team.
And D.D. didn't really do anything on that team.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, getting rid of everyone's not going to solve the problems. You got to keep some guys. You got to keep some veterans. Like, they're getting rid of all the veterans in there. Like, do you want Gardner Minshew with the stash being the only leader in the locker room?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
I want Gardner Minshew as my leader.
Oh, I bet you do. I bet you do, Q.
I just want to party with him. He seems like a fun guy.
Let's get Mike Leach as the leader of this show.
By the way, he threw 21 touchdowns last year.
He only had 6 interceptions. I was right about that, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Close enough. But Jaguars, like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
They don't know.
Y'all are just going to be the new Browns. That's all you're going to be. Year after year, tanking. Oh, we're tanking for Trevor Lawrence. Oh, we're tanking for whoever the next guy is.
The football team's trying to beat the Browns. They're drafting all the defensive linemen so they don't have a offense. So
shoot.
Yeah, they'll only allow 10 points, but they're only going to be scoring 3.
It's going to be, and then how are you going to get fans in the state? Well, I guess it doesn't matter. They're not going to be getting fans in the stadiums. Maybe they're playing 32D chess. They're like, hey, we don't have fans this year. Let's just blow it up now before we have fans next year. Hey, if that's the case, I'll apologize to the Jaguars organization, but I doubt it's the case. I really do.
Question: will the Washington football team change their little chant "Hail to the Redskins" to "Hail to the football team"?
Good question.
I didn't know they had a chant.
Will they say "Hail to the Washington football team"?
No, "Hail to the football team."
Wow, that's literally like Rob Lowe wearing his NFL hat. It's just so generic.
Do not throw Rob Lowe in the same boat as the Washington football team.
Yeah, Rob Lowe is a saint.
Yeah,
he is a saint, and the Washington football team are not. But I think that wraps up my rants. We got a little bit off tangent, but I hate the Jaguars. I hate that they're tanking. I hate that any team decides to tank and blow up everything. Like, put some respect on these players' names, these coaches. Like, at the end of the day, these players want to play. They want to win. Why would you want to screw them over? Like, this is their livelihood. But front office people, they don't care.
Another thing Tyler hates is the lady at Blaze Pizza that messed up making his pizza.
That's really where my rage started from today. The damn
from the
pizza.
Bottom, here.
Yeah. Start with a pizza, end it with the Jaguars. And that is the end of rant time. Now, I think it's time for some NBA. What do we got?
All right. So we're just going to talk about the playoff teams and how things are going so far. Shockingly, the Boston Celtics, shockingly to Tyler, the Boston Celtics have taken I know you are, 2-0 lead over Tyler's team, the Toronto Raptors, who he thought had a good shot at making the finals. Well, they're down 2-0.
Sir,
You talking about the Celtics?
Yeah, the Celtics.
the Celtics, they're not my team. First of all, they're my team in the East. Let's make that specification.
But you've talked about
I can't
them a lot.
stand. Yeah, because I thought they were playing really well, but apparently I was wrong. I didn't realize that like it wasn't a meteor that killed the dinosaurs. It was damn like an army of freaking leprechauns or something. Like who knew that Boston Celtics, a team that's been just kind of hitting its ceiling every single year, is the team that's better than Toronto? Who knew? But
I did.
I guess you did. I don't think you said that.
I did not.
But
I always said it.
oh, really?
Uh-huh.
You just know everything?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I have it written in my journal.
Okay, sir. Since you know
It
everything,
means diary.
Yeah, my diary.
your diary, where you confess your. Never mind.
It's a little Mickey Mouse diary.
I was about to make an Osvaldo joke, but never mind.
Osvaldo.
Since you're always right, sir, can you predict for me who's going to win the East?
Yes. Yo Mama State. No.
Okay, there you heard it. Your Mama State.
They're gonna come out of nowhere. I still think the Bucks are gonna win the East. They're down 1-0, but they were down 1-0 to the Magic as well. But you know the Heat are a different animal than the Magic. But
Yeah, are they just taking first game off? It's like, hey, we need a rest.
Actually, neither of those are animals.
Giannis wanted a break.
They can't do that against the Heat. The Heat are dangerous. Jimmy Buckets is playing angry right now.
Yeah,
all those years of everyone saying he was a toxic teammate. Look at him now, leading the Heat. Him and Goran Dragic and Tyler Hero, my boy. I might switch over to the Heat.
Ugh.
I might
never
do it.
never cheer for the Heat.
I will never do that either.
Screw Dwayne Wade.
Yep.
This is the new Heat. I don't care about Dwayne Wade.
No,
They got Tyler.
Wade is why I will never cheer for the Heat. I don't care who is on that team. I will never cheer for them.
Okay. Well, I guess you'll cheer for the Bucks. Boring, bland
Heck yeah.
Bucks.
I
Okay.
don't care.
And then what was I gonna say? So you think the Bucks are gonna win? What about the West?
Ooh,
How do you
the
think
West.
it's going over there?
I still think.
We're not done yet with the West, which is weird in the first round.
Well, tomorrow's the last game. Clippers and Rockets. The Rockets started out up 2-0, but
Rockets and Thunder. Yep.
sorry, I was looking at Clippers in my notes. The Rockets started up 2-0, but the Thunder have won 3 of the last 4 games, and it's all tied up.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you, Cody, about the dynamic between James Harden and Russ. Russ just returned, and there's this great tweet by I forget his name. It's Matthew on Twitter. I think it's like Carderis or something. He said that the Rockets have not lost the first round playoff in like 4 years, and Russ has not gone past the first round playoff in 4 years. How great is that? So something's got to give in this game 7. And right now, the way I've been looking at it is I think Russ has been he's been hindering that Rockets team.
I think Russ is a toxic player.
I think so too.
I think so too. It's literally like they trade a toxic player in Chris Paul, and people want to admit he's toxic, but the way he plays is toxic. He dominates
For
the
an
ball
even
too
more
much.
toxic player.
Exactly.
Westbrook dominates the ball, and he's basically just a guy that goes after stats.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's not clutch. We saw that in game 6. He freaking airballed a mid-range shot.
Yeah.
And that was a huge play if they would have just, even if they got the rebound or anything like that, it's just like,
And then
they need to convert on that.
kick out
Put the
turnover.
Thunder away. Yeah. Oh, that was awful. You saw the picture, right? He literally had an open lane for a layup and he popped that out and threw it out of bounds.
Yeah, that's kind of like a play LeBron would make sometimes, trying to make the pass instead of putting the shot.
But
up.
LeBron makes that pass.
Yeah, you're
He
absolutely
actually
right.
completes it.
LeBron does make that pass. That's why LeBron's won 2 championships. or
That's why
3
LeBron
championships.
doesn't lose in the first round. Exactly.
Yeah. If he knows he's going to lose in the first round, he takes the year off and goes to the lottery.
Of course. For back issues and stuff.
Yeah.
Groin, what other things that you can barely kind of see if it's hurt or not.
Yeah.
It's kind of just, oh, are you hurt? Yeah, I'm hurt. My groin hurts.
Yeah. You want that first pick? Yeah.
And we're going to pick someone like Lonzo Ball.
Or Anthony
Lonzo
Davis.
Brick Ball. Or Anthony Davis. Yeah. We'll talk about the Lakers in a second. Just wrapping out Rockets. I think it's clear Russ needs to be moved after this year, I think. And they need to get back to it just being James Harden's team, and they're building pieces around him.
Yeah.
They need to bring in more defenders and more shooters.
I would try to do a trade. The money probably wouldn't work, but get a guy like Bull that can score inside and outside, because they need some rebounding length, and he'd be a great shooting fit for the team too.
Yeah, I think they're going to need to reevaluate their small ball philosophy.
Yeah.
If they can bring in a 7-footer who can shoot threes, I think that stuff kind of fits into their scheme.
Maybe
But then it gives
Bertans.
them more. Yeah, possibly Bertans. I can see that. Bull, another great player. They could bring in a young guy. I wouldn't mind them trading for like a Michael Porter Jr. or one of those guys is a little bit taller, small forward that could fit on their team too. And you could have him play power forward or center. You could do that too. There's a lot of different options, but I think Russ needs to go. I think so.
Now I have a question. Are there actually any lakes in LA?
Weren't they originally like the Minneapolis Lakers?
Yeah, I think so. And they just kept the name.
Yeah.
Anyways, carry on.
Anyways, we weren't talking about the Lakers, but let's talk about the Lakers. Thanks, Q, for that transition.
You got it.
Cody, how do you feel about the Lakers? They finally got past Portland.
Oh, finally.
If I was Charles Barkley, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
They finally got all that.
They had to overcome that lead, that 1-0 deficit, and they were going to get swept, but
Hey, if you bet on NBA, just anytime Charles Barkley says anything, do the opposite. Great rule of thumb.
for real.
Yeah. But Lakers are out of the first round. They're not out of the playoffs. Yeah, I think they just kind of handle business. I feel like we still haven't quite seen how good the Lakers are and if they really are a final team that wins the championship. How do you feel, Cody?
I still think it's going to be Lakers and Clippers. In the Western Conference Finals, and then honestly, it could go either way. I have a slight edge to the Clippers because the Clippers should have Pat Beverly back by the Western Conference Finals.
Pat Beverly, the most hated player in the NBA.
Yeah, so he can just annoy the crap out of LeBron.
I don't think LeBron. I think statistically, I don't think LeBron's had much of a trouble with Pat Beverly because he's just so much undersized.
Yeah,
but the fact that they don't really have a point guard right now, he could play a big role in guarding Caruso or whoever is playing that point guard role.
He would shut Caruso down, I think.
Yeah, Caruso's a great player, but he's not there yet to deal with.
Kawhi would
like
probably guard LeBron.
Yeah, of course. The question will be who's guarding Anthony Davis, and that will be the problem.
Yeah, they may put Kawhi on Anthony Davis.
They could. He could be. It may be a thing where they're just constantly switching off because they can do that.
Yeah,
they can't switch 1 through 5.
Zubac moves around well too, so he could be a good guy to put on Kawhi as well, or not Anthony Davis as well.
Yeah, whatever they do, I think it's clear that Anthony Davis is kind of the X factor for the Lakers.
Yeah,
he's a matchup problem for the Clippers. He's going to be. I think the Lakers are going to be running a lot of their offense through him. LeBron will be doing his thing, of course, but the other guys will kind of just lean on him. But I think it's clear, too, they need to have that third scorer. I think Kuzma needs to step up for them to have a chance past the Clippers. We'll see. Danny Green needs to stop bricking shots and building houses. Who else is bricking shots on that team? There's a lot of guys. Shoot, could run down a list.
We know Dwight Howard's going to be breaking free throws.
Yep. I wouldn't mind seeing them use Dwight Howard a little bit more in this series. I think he's a physical center. Zubac could guard him, of course, but having him constantly coming out and setting screens, setting physical screens, and then rolling to the basket, that's a problem for Zubac, dragging him all the way out there.
And he doesn't play... Doc Rivers doesn't play him as much as he should.
You're saying Zubac?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he needs to get more playing time.
I think so too. He's very underappreciated on that team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are which team is Denver playing?
Denver just beat the Jazz a few moments ago.
That was the 3 versus 6, right?
So they're going to be playing the Clippers. Lakers will be playing Rockets Thunder winners.
All right. I think the Clippers will take care of the Nuggets pretty easily. I don't think there'll be much of a problem.
Yeah, it's just, can they shut down Jamal Murray? Probably. They'll probably keep him in check.
You could put Pat Beverly. If Beverly's back, you could put him on him. You can do different looks. You could put Kawhi, Paul George, those guys on him.
P. Bricks needs to have a good series, but I think they should handle business.
Yeah.
Jazz and Nuggets are just traditionally just a team that gets out of the first round and loses. That's just kind of their role.
Yep. Have a horrible game 7, 80-78. And
exciting game. So exciting game.
Yeah.
I'm glad we record this podcast instead of watching that full game.
For real.
Anything else about NBA, Cody? Anything you think is important?
I wanted to talk about Porzingis and his injury just a little bit. That turns out he had a torn meniscus, so I kind of feel bad for
Cody needs to apologize.
Yeah, go ahead and apologize. We're waiting.
I would like to apologize to you, Kristaps. I know you adamantly listen to this podcast. So since you're a great listener and I'm apologizing right now, I would just like to request also an autographed basketball from both you and Luca. So if you could please hit me up, follow me on Twitter at CodySmith1997. And just let me know and I'll get back with you whenever I'm free. I'll be that guy that says, all right, sure. Kind of blow you off and then respond eventually.
You blow off Kristaps.
Yeah, and Luca.
Oh, no, you would not. Shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. There's Luca slides in your DMs. You're like, yes, King. Yes.
Yeah, I found his PlayStation Plus account.
Of course. You know, it's supposed to be no simp September, but Luca slides into Cody's DMs. It's over.
Luca slides into Cody's DMs. There's a lot. Never mind.
Yeah, we won't get into anything in detail, but Cody loves Luca so much. He would do anything. If Luca was like, hey, I want you to come and just be my intern and just like deliver me food all the time, Cody would drop everything he's doing.
For an
hey,
autograph?
I need you to do my
Absolutely.
dry cleaning. You'll get an autograph in like a year when you're done picking up my dry cleaning.
Am I
Cody
getting paid for doing it?
No.
I don't know. That'd be a tough one because I could probably just use actually working and buy an autograph of his.
Yeah, I feel like you'd still do it. There's
just
two things.
Just to meet him.
There's two things I'm confident. As soon as Disney parks open, Cody will be there, and he already has because of the pandemic. And then if Luca asks Cody to do anything, he will do it.
Yeah. Too bad the latter will never happen.
Yep. Too bad. Hey, maybe we'll make it big. Who knows?
We'll eventually get Luca on the show.
Cody's interviewing Luca on the sideline.
Yeah. We'll be. Yeah. I'll take a skin spot on the Mavs broadcast.
Cody will be like one of the silent reporters that gets like flustered because he's like attracted to Luca.
I'll be like Brian Windhorst, constantly out of breath, worshiping Luca, following him around to every team.
Cody would be out of breath because he walked down the stairs.
I mean, he's out of breath when he just talks. Yes. Maybe you should be like Luca's win horse. You just you
That's what I just
constantly go.
said.
Yeah, but like even more, like go on ESPN and just whenever Luca has a terrible game, you're just like down on your knees, just saying, "Oh, he's the greatest thing ever. Do not disrespect my Luca. I beg you, please, please stop,
Please, sir.
please, sir. Can I have some Luca compliments, sir?"
Talking about Luca, his first playoff series, his stats were pretty impressive. 31 points per game, 50% shooting from the field, 36.4 from three.
Hop skiddly do.
Razzmatazz.
What?
He's got that razzmatazz hop skiddly do.
Yes, he does.
9.8 rebounds, 8.7 assists, and he had 2 triple doubles. Not a bad first impression for 21-year-old.
Yeah, I'm blown away.
A lot better than me when I was 21.
Well,
He's almost on my level.
basically.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is Luca impressed me by far. I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but I was kind of crapping on him mostly because of all the things you were saying, and also because he's slow and not athletic. But he's proven to me that he's a special player. I think this is a bold statement coming from me. I think he's going to win an MVP at some point.
Yeah.
He's still got a lot of room for growth.
Which is crazy for a guy that averaged like 29 points a game.
I know, it's crazy. Shoot, can you imagine if he had athleticism? Oh my gosh.
It'd be over. Dude, what if Giannis went to the Mavs?
That would be honestly, like that'd be a really great team for him. Mavericks have always been a great team of bringing in kind of international players and kind of making them gel together, kind of like the Spurs.
I really hope
The Dallas
Bucks,
Europeans.
Yeah.
yeah, I really want the Bucks to lose this series to the Heat and Giannis to just get shut down and sick of the Bucks so he can come to Dallas.
I think Giannis is going to be gone after this. He understands that he's in a small market. He wants to make more money.
And
He wants
he's never going to win in Milwaukee.
Space Jam 3 or something.
Oh, Luca, and KP are going to do Euro Jam 3 or Euro Jam.
Oh, are we having spinoff? Let's have a little spinoff.
Yeah.
But getting back to Luca real quick, what do you think he's going to win first? A MVP title or a championship?
That's a good question. I think it'll be an MVP first. Just because right now the Mavs are one piece away from getting from being a legit championship contender. They're not going to win anything with Tim Hardaway Jr. as their number 3. So, and until they prove
number 3,
yeah, until they prove that they can sign a big name free agent, that's not like Monte Ellis, then I'm going to say Luca is going to win an MVP.
Hey, Monte in Dallas was pretty damn good.
I liked Monte Ellis, but he's probably their best free agent signing. Him or DeAndre Jordan, the second time DeAndre Jordan.
True.
Yeah, they need to bring in other pieces. I think you want to get rid of Kristaps. I prefer if they kept Kristaps, but they need to bring in other guys.
Since he had a meniscus tear, I want to keep Kristaps. I thought it was just like a random knee injury that was keeping him out. I didn't know he tore his meniscus in game 1.
Yeah, good on you. Good job, Cody. Way to not jump to conclusions.
They didn't announce it until after the series or before game 6, so you didn't know.
Yeah, but sometimes when we know he's had knee injuries before, we probably should just jump and be like, hey, he sucks. His knee keeps swelling. He sucks. Get rid of him.
Hey, Dirk's knee kept swelling.
Yeah, but Dirk doesn't need knees. He doesn't need legs.
Dirk's a giraffe.
Hey, I want Dirk. So if the Mavs got Giannis, would Dirk come out and be in a wheelchair and have Luca push him down the court, dribbling the ball, and just hand him the ball and let him shoot?
Hey, he would still shoot over people somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but that'd be great. I think, Mavs got great outlook. Rockets need to figure things out. We're going to keep following kind of the NBA playoffs and what's going on with that. Is there anything else y'all want to talk about before we close the show?
I actually just got a real quick update. He said, after a wild few hours, all is quiet on the Alvin Kamara front. I'm told cooler heads have prevailed, and the Saints and Kamara's camp will keep working on a deal. He's expected to be at practice tomorrow.
Okay, good. And there we go.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Now I can breathe for fantasy football.
Anyways, that's about it.
Yeah, so that wraps up our show today, guys. Make sure you subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Although I will say YouTube, we have short clips that come, and we also have the MMA show whenever we record that. So definitely subscribe to that. Keep on following us. Keep on listening to our show. Engage.
Go follow Chris.
Yes, follow Chris Halleck. He has a lot of great reports on the Rangers baseball team, including one I think we retweeted the other day. And he has a lot of great articles that he writes about them.
His Twitter is at Chris Halleck, HALICKE.
Yeah, go follow him. Follow us at Texas 3-Step. Make sure you are keeping up to date on when we're posting videos and stuff like that, because we're expanding as we go. So we'll have new videos every week. Last week, we incorporated rant time and Q stories to YouTube. We cut those out and have them as simple videos because we know y'all kind of have a lot going on. It's hard to listen to an hour and a half of us talking about sports. So sometimes you can just listen to those short videos and get a little taste of what the show's like and then come back to the show when you have time. But yeah, follow us on all those. Subscribe to us. Like our tweets. Retweet our tweets. Love us. Give us attention, please. Please.
Just like our sponsor, Texas Sports Live.
Please give us attention.
No, they don't.
Please give us love and attention, and we'll return the favor. We demand it.
And we will love you back.
And we will love you back.
Maybe.
Maybe. But right now,
love's a strong word.
Listen to this whole podcast. We love you. Just want to mention that.
I love you.
And that wraps up everything. Thank you guys for another good show.